In this screencast, I'm going to discuss how to load and save MATLAB data. Data that's in a native MATLAB format, as opposed to a text file format or an Excel format, as we discussed in a previous screencast. So you can use the MATLAB save and load functions to save and load data, and you can use the dir function to get lists of files. So I'd like to illustrate how to load and save data using an example script. And this is a bit of a contrived or a silly example where we're interacting with a user and we're collecting some data from a user, and the data from the user needs to be saved to some file. So let me first explain what this user interaction is about. So it's a simple guessing game. So I'll first show you what happens when we run the script. So it first asks for the name of the user. So let's say I say Mark. And then the computer has a number between 1 and 5 in mind, and you have to guess this number over several trials. So I guess 4. No, that's not it. So it asks me again, I guess 1, and that is the correct number. So how does this script work? Well, first I'll go line by line. We first clear all the variables in memory. We're clearing the screen. N is the range of the random numbers generated by the computer. Now we're collecting the name of the user using the input function. So the string name will contain the user name. Then the computer will pick a number between 1 and n, and that's saved in the variable true number. We're creating a little message to show to the user, and the message is guess my number between 1 and this is a placeholder where we want to plug in the range of the random numbers, in this case n. Note that this command sprintf, this is very similar to fprintf, where you print some formatted string to the screen, but here instead of printing it to the screen, you capture the result of this formatted string to another string. And this is the message string that we want to show to the user. Now here I've created a little loop, and I initialize this loop by setting the user guess to 0, which is guaranteed to be incorrect, right? Because the correct number is always between 1 and n. I have a little variable that keeps track of how many guesses the user has tried so far. And then I set up this while loop while the guess is incorrect, so it's not equal to the true number. I'm getting a guess from the user. I increase this counter, and then I store the ith guess of the user in this vector of guesses. And at the end, when I exit the while loop, I can only exit it when I guess the correct number, so I print some feedback to the screen that is correct. So let's see what is contained in memory after playing this single game. I would like to store somewhere the user guesses in this vector guesses. I would like to store the variable name, the variable true number, and I would like to save that information to a file. So let's expand the script slightly. So now I can start saving this information to a file. First, let's create a file name, and I would like the file name to contain the name of the user so that different users that play this game, their data is stored into different files. So I can use this sprintf command to create a formatted string. And let's say that the string that contains the file name follows this format where I say, let's take the name. So this is a placeholder for a string. And what string do I fill in here? Well, the name of the user, followed by a dot, and followed by the file extension mat. And this is the file extension that's used by MATLAB to store native MATLAB data. Let's save to this file name some variables that I care about. So which variables are important? Well, the guesses that the user has made. Let's also do name. Let's do n, the range of the random numbers. And so you basically, after the name of the file, you give it a list of strings, and these strings indicate the variables that you would like to save in this file name. So let's actually play this game again. So I'll give it again my name, and now I do a number of guesses. Okay, after 2 guesses I got it correct. If this has worked as intended, now in my current folder I should see this little MATLAB data file, so-called mark.mat, so my name followed by the mat extension. And this should contain all the variables that I wanted to save. Now let's play the game again, and now I will use a different name. Yes, now you can see that MATLAB created this other MATLAB file, peter.mat. Now loading file names, or loading files, is very simple. So suppose I clear everything in memory. So let's check that there's nothing actually in memory. And now I want to load this first file that I created, mark.mat. And I can use just the load function with a single input argument in the name of the file. And now let's see what I have in memory. Well, it's all those things that are loaded from this file. So I can see exactly these variables back. So n, guesses, name, and true number that were generated during the course of this user interaction. And if I have a different file, so peter.mat, now I have slightly different numbers here. I have 3 guesses, so guesses is 1 by 3, and in the first interaction guesses was 1 by 2, because there were only 2 guesses in the first game. Okay, so now suppose you have generated a number of data files from a behavioral experiment, or you already have some data files that you would like to analyze. How can we find these files? So you can use the dir function to find lists of files that meet certain criteria. So if you call the dir function, dir stands for directory, and then you have a string with a wildcard, this symbol here, .mat, it finds all the files with the .mat extension. So let's clear everything from memory and clear things on the screen. And I'm going to run this. Now, what is X? Well, X is a structure, and it has 2 elements. And each element has the following field names: name, folder, date, bytes, etc. And we mostly care about the different names of the files that are, in our case, .mat files. This structure is a bit inconvenient for us to work with, but we can convert this to a table format, and that will be much more useful to us. So I can use this conversion, struct to table, around like this, and now I can rerun the program. And now X is a table, and one of the columns will be the name column. This simply contains all the names of the files that I'm interested in. And then the other fields point to the folders, the dates, and other information of these files. So how can I get just the names of the files back? Well, I can simply say, give me from the table X, give me the name field. Let's run this. And now, what is names? Well, I have a cell array with the number of rows equal to the number of files, and each entry just contains the file name. So I could write a simple script. Let's say that M is the number of files that I've found, and now I can loop over all the files, make that F as an index variable, and now I can load into memory the file at the nth position in this cell array. Now I can print something about this. So I can print let's say the name of the user that played this particular game, because if we go back to the original script, so that is actually in the name variable, which should now be loaded into memory. Now let's see if this script works. Okay, so M is 2 because it found 2 file names, and then we loop over those 2 file names. we're loading the corresponding MATLAB data into memory, and then we can retrieve some information related to this user interaction. So we can print the name, but we could also have printed out other information like the guesses from the user or anything else that's of interest for data analysis.